Good evening, everybody. This is Man Coverage with Knoxville Nate and Big JB James Bonneville coming back at you with a special edition of Man Coverage. We got a special guest today that we're going to bring on a special edition show with a special guest. I guess it's just special. James, how you doing today, buddy?
Hey, it's Monday. Any day to be a crap, but hey, it's hate week, and I've been eating a lot of pork, getting ready for Saturday.
I believe it.
We got a Free Floyd, baby. Free Floyd.
Yeah, I hope you win. But we're going to go ahead and bring in our guest right now. We're going to pop him in and see if he's got us here.
How y'all doing?
Hey, Coach, you hear us okay, buddy?
It's a little low, but I can hear you guys.
Cool. Hey, we just wanted to, first off, thank you for coming on with us, Coach. We got a little signals crossed a little bit yesterday, so we really appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us tonight. And just wanted to dig in with you a little bit about what's going on here in Knoxville. I mean, growing up here and watching the Vols, especially when you played, it was, a bad season if we fell out of the top five, but it hadn't been that way the last 10 15 years, and we got a little bit of a resurgence now, and I just want to get your thoughts on what you've seen from this team so far in 2022 and why you think they've had success with this particular coaching staff.
Well, I think it all starts with culture. I think Coach Hype was brought in a great culture in the program. I've actually had spoken to him on several occasions, got to meet him and got to know him, and he's brought in the right kids. And I think when you start with culture, they get your program back on track. I think in the past couple of years, we ain't had that culture at the program and had a lot of individuals and guys jumping in transfer portals. And I think he got the right committed kids in the program, and they're up and running, and they believed in the Hyper way.
Now, you got recruited under, I want to say Johnny Majors, correct?
Yeah, I was under Johnny Majors.
What, growing up in, going to Hillsborough and Nashville, did you see, like, two-part question, do you feel like a lot of pressure to go to Tennessee, and what was your recruiting process like? Because it's got to be radically different than your son, who's going through the same process right now.
Yeah, it's completely different. Actually, I was fortunate to go to a camp my junior year at Knoxville, and they actually offered me at that camp, me and Billy Williams at that time. So I kind of had Tennessee in my back pocket. So with that being said, I really just looked at Tennessee as a program through the recruiting process, heard from pretty much every SEC school and ACC schools and things like that, and Notre Dame and UCLA's and things like that. But through the recruiting process back in my day, they actually came and watched their game and then rely on stars, Deion Sanders said, go out in the backyard and become a star. Quit looking at stars. And I think that's what happened to a lot of college coaches nowadays, relying on stars instead of really going to evaluating kids. And then come further along, what helped me out was I had a high school coach by the name of Maurice Fitzgerald that told me, why you want to leave the state when Tennessee was in the top 10 at that time, also like they are now. And it's a great program. It's always been a great program. It's my home. I love it to death. And then going through this process with my son, it's completely different because he's having a great senior year and jumped on the radar of a lot of schools, but they're looking at stars. A lot of kids come on late. When you don't have those 4 and 5 stars behind your name, they don't evaluate talent. And that's when you see kids in transfer portal. When you need to come watch these kids to see this true talent and the work that they put in. And true football kids are being missed nowadays. A lot of people missing just true football kids. They looking for kids that can go to a camp and shorts and T-shirt and run real fast. But when you put them pads on, it's different, baby.
Oh,
everybody trying to take your head off.
It's extremely different. And Coach, that's what I wanted to ask you about was, I feel like these days there's so many guys. You mentioned the transfer portal. There's so many guys that are jumping from school to school. And there's some coaches, that are, there's no real timeline anymore with these coaches. They want to win right now. And so a lot of them are going to that portal to get kids. And I feel like some high school kids are getting overlooked because there's, scholarships are going to these transfer guys. Do you feel like that's happening some with the experiences you're having?
I believe that's what's truly happening. It's actually hurting high school kids because you got a lot of programs that are looking for the portal to get kids. When in actuality, the portal is like junior college back in my day. It's a patch-up system. You know what I mean? Now, if you might have a DN that you need to know, something like that, but everybody's jumping in the portal. My motto is 2 things. Go look at the University of Alabama, see how many kids they get out of the transfer portal. Now, they're pretty consistent, pretty successful every year. They're not relying on transfer portal. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think a lot of times the kids that get into transfer portals are problems at other schools. Why you won't? Why it's like a marriage, why you want to take somebody's ex-wife? You know what I mean? Go get your own wife. You know what I mean? You don't know what problems are going on in that house. So, that's how I view the transfer portal. That's just my take on it. I tell a lot of people this is just MOSE Jr. Input, but that's how I feel about transfer portal. You got over, 3,500 kids in transfer portal with nowhere to go, and they're not competitive anymore. That's the big thing. You got to compete for a position. They just don't give you a position. You got to compete for it.
You've dealt with a lot of people at your time at Tennessee in high school, and now you're coaching, not only your son, but other youth in the area. Who was a mentor to you looking back on it that you really grasped onto their advice, not only as a player, but more now as a coach?
Well, as a coach, I've had a lot of great coaches along the way. A lot of stick out right offhand. I had Maurice Fitzgerald, the great Maurice Fitzgerald. He's a legend here in Nashville, Tennessee. I had Terry Anderson, my high school coach. He mentored me a lot. A lot of great guys I've met throughout the years. Actually, Coach Cutcliffe at the University of Tennessee, he was a big guy. He was one of the reasons I went to UT because he was honest with me. Through the recruiting process, I tell my son a lot of times, it's like dating. You got to like who like you,
Yeah.
And at that time, he was like, "MOSE, you can come here, you can play." Because I was a quarterback in high school. He said, "I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to play quarterback here because they many 6-foot quarterbacks in the NFL at that time." So I was laughing. Yeah. But he said, "You can play all 4 DB spots, running back, and all 3 wide receiver spots with your talent." So I figure if I go to the University of Tennessee, I can get on the field somewhere because I'm a competitor.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. And MOSE, I want to take you back a little bit to that time. I mean, now, some of these kids on this Tennessee team, they've been through 2-3 coaches. And, obviously when you were there was a transition from Coach Majors to Coach Fulmer. What was that like? And what was that like for you guys as players to go through that? Obviously, Coach Fulmer was already on the staff, and I believe Coach Majors had a heart attack and had some health issues. But what was that like with you guys, and how did you guys persevere going through that transition?
Well, it was a wild transition because at that time the team got split of sorts because you had some kids that were Johnny Majors fans and some kids that was Coach Fulmer fans. And I go back to just how I explained to a lot of people, Johnny Majors was business. And you could remember back in the day, it was Johnny Majors and the University of Tennessee. It's kind of like he was his own entity. You know what I mean? And he was a great coach, a great guy. Excellent coach, but when Coach Fulmer came on, it brought more of a player's feel to the team. I use an example, when we was with Coach Majors, we used to have to wear suits whenever we went on road games and things like that. When Coach Fulmer took over, we started wearing jogging suits. Team jogging suits was more laid back, more relaxed. And he would come over to the dorm more. You hardly ever see Johnny Majors at the dorm, but Coach Fulmer stopped by the dorm, so it became more of like a family environment, So that was a big transition. But you had kids that was Johnny Majors, but you just had to learn Johnny Majors. And that was the thing about him, the great man. I had my issues with him in the beginning, but I knew he was trying to break me down to build me back up the best that I could be. So once you learn that about you,
what I was going to ask you is, what was I going to say? I am drawing a blank right now. I just had a question in my head and I'm drawing a blank. Oh, games. That's what it is. Going back to your career, what game? I mean, we just showed the downpour against Florida where you had that long touchdown run where I have to imagine you had to been since hardly anybody nobody uses true AstroTurf anymore. And the way it was coming down, that had to been like a slip and slide getting into the end zone. What games do you remember most from your career that you look back on? They're like, God, that was pretty special.
That game was very special for a couple of reasons. The first reason is, you remember Phillips 66, the gas station back in the day? My mom had told me about 3 weeks before that game, she had a dream about Phillips 66 gas station. And that was my touchdown. It was 66 yards. My last name was Phillips. So I said, Mama, keep dreaming. Just keep dreaming and put it in play for me. And then the second part of that, everybody laughs at me looking at my watch in the end zone. And they never knew the true meaning of it. A lot of people said it was time for Florida to go home and things like that. But what it really was me and my coach, Charlie Cole, who's my running back position coach. As you know, Tennessee back in the day, we get to the 1 or 2 yard line and we let little man dive over the top. We run 2 launch. So he used to tell me all the time, if you're that good a running back, you just score from out, And literally, that was my first touchdown. And I was telling my position coach, it's about time I got in the end zone. So that's what that was about. I was a big jokester back then.
That's hilarious, man. I never knew that story, but that brings it all to light. I was trying to think. I believe that you were on that team that played in Notre Dame, correct? The Miracle at South Bend. Was that when you were there, Mose?
Could you repeat that again? I didn't hear it.
I was saying the game in South Bend, the big comeback, the Miracle at South Bend. Where you were on that squad, weren't you?
Let me tell you the story about that.
Yeah,
I was actually on that squad, but I didn't make that trip. I got hurt, I think, the week before that. I had hyperextended knee. So I'm at home in the dorm watching the game. Now, good friend of mine, Aaron Hayden, he'll tell you this to this day. Yeah. I was the king of screens. That's what I ran at UT, screens and draws. So he told me at the game, they was on the sideline, they knew was finna run the screen, and they was hollering, Phillips, get in. But of course, I was back in Knoxville. So he went in the game, and now he's known for the Miracle in South Bend. He owes me for that. Because I got the Florida one, and I got the South Carolina one. There would have been another one on my belt, but he got it. He's a great guy too, Aaron Hayden.
Yeah, he is, man. He's got a kid too that's now playing running back at Ohio State. So it seems like I'm starting to feel old, Mose, because now all the guys I watched play ball are now got their boys playing, and it's making me feel a little bit old now.
I think it's been a lost tradition at the program. You know, I've been outspoken on it several times. J.J. McCleskey's son, who went to play at Oklahoma State, then played at Tulane. You know, former player. You got Aaron Hayden's son playing there. We got a lot of cats that played at the university, and their kids are playing at other universities and actually beating us. Look at Amari Rogers, T. Martin's son. No, you're at Clemson winning national championships, but you're not at Tennessee. And I think that's where we lost our way with the past couple of coaches before Heupel that didn't pull the string and make those good choices back then, you know. So
yeah, and that's a big thing, you know, with the coaching staffs. I know, you know, I played at Knoxville Catholic High School where Amari Rogers came from, and you know the old Coach Matthews. You know, he was big about bringing the alumni back and getting us involved. And I feel like, you know, coaches at the universities do the same thing. I just feel like Coach Heupel's done a better job of, you know, making the alumni feel comfortable coming back and feel welcome. Does you feel that from this new staff coming in?
I feel that totally. Like I said, I've been with him on several occasions. When Al got inducted into the College Hall of Fame, they had a reception for him. All the players came back. Coach Heupel came to that. He actually came to Nashville several times. I went to hear him speak. We've hung out several times. He believed in culture. You know, like he told me he's from the University of Oklahoma. They had a big tradition, a big culture there. Because I asked him, I said, hey, are you here with us? Or you trying to get back to Oklahoma? You need to tell me because I'm straightforward. He said, Mose, I love Tennessee. He said, I don't want to go back there. He said, I don't feel like it about that school. We started laughing. He's where he wants to be. He said he's at home. And I said, that alone right there speaks volumes. And I know you'll be the guy for us. And that's what he has been. With these first 2 seasons, he's did a great job. So I think we headed in the correct direction. Not the right direction, the correct direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, what's the best piece of advice you could give to, you know, a future coach, a future player about playing at the next level or just the game in general? We've asked that question of a lot of people, and it's amazing how we got a lot of different answers over the years. But as being a former player and now a coach, what wisdom could you partake on those new upcoming people?
Well, I believe you got to be bought in. You know, think about today's times, no one's actually committed to something. Like you said before, coaches and players and everything want the microwave life. I want it to happen real fast. It's all about the process. You know, staying with the process and things like that, and being in high school levels, you deal with parents who try to prepare the path for the kid instead of prepare the kid for the path. And I actually got that from Dabo Sweeney when I heard him speak at a clinic. And I think transitioning to the next level, that's actually happening on the college level, because I've had a talk with several college coaches, and parents are still involved in the college game, you know, calling coaches, why my son not playing, things like that. You raise a young man to go and do a job, and he has to go compete and earn that job. Just like in the real world, when you get a job, you got to go and earn that position. You got to earn that raise. You got to earn that promotion. But we don't want to do that nowadays. We want everything given to us. So just the process of staying true to what you believe in, I think it's a good thing for people making them jumps and making those moves.
Yeah, making that grind. I think that's one thing that gets lost is if they lose it, they automatically got to run to another opportunity rather than, who knows? I mean, the person that beat you out for that job in August could have had a bad September, and you just got to wait on that opportunity to hit it and make the most of the chances you get. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and Mose, I got a question for you. With all that we were talking about with the recruiting, and with some of the high school kids getting pushed out with the transfer portal, what is your best advice, to your son and other kids that are fighting to try and get scholarships and get looks? What's the best thing they can do to kind of overcome some of the obstacles that they're facing with this new recruiting world that we're in?
Well, most thing you have to do is, one, is trust the process. Believe all the work that you put in on high school level that will pay off one day. Then two, like I explained to my son and like I took upon myself, get the marriage with the university, because coach is going to be gone tomorrow. And I told him this, and I tell all kids this, it's a double-edged sword, meaning if your coach is winning, he's probably going to be gone and get a better job. If he's losing, he's probably going to get fired. So make sure it's a program that you want to spend the next 4 years of your life at, that you believe in the campus, the student body, the culture, trying to get accomplished what you want to get accomplished. It's not transfer portal was made for positions like quarterback because there's only one of them on the field. If you're a receiver and you're in the transfer portal, people usually play 3 to 4 receivers. So if you can't crack 3 or 4 receiver lineup, it's not them, it's you, baby. So get in there and compete, and that's the biggest thing about the process. It's all about the process. Nobody wants to do the process anymore.
Yeah. Well, luckily you guys are still going right now in the playoffs, right? So that's got to help too, getting a little bit of extra exposure with some of these playoff games. Talk to us a little bit about what the season has been like for you guys and what you're thinking about moving forward, as I believe you guys are still playing, correct?
Actually, I'm at practice right now. We're actually outside. That's why I'm in the dark. We're at practice. I stepped off for a minute, but we're working and grinding. We got a great group of kids. We're actually, I want to say 11-1 right now. And got a big third round game this week. Yes, Beach High School, their program. And we've been a program the past couple of years to be a good test, but it's this time of year. It's football time of year. And it's that process of getting in there and grinding and enjoying the playoffs and making something special happen with kids.
What position is your son going to be playing at? Because I see on 24/7 they're projecting him to play safety, and on 3 they're looking at more of an athlete. Is it school by school, or what's the process of what he's looking at right now between with Canley at Toledo and Fritz at Tulane, plus you got Pry and Coach Elliott in Virginia? What is what position is he going to play, and what's his thought process right now? What he's looking for?
Well, actually, he plays safety. He's a 6'3", 180-pound safety. Also plays receiver. It's funny because he's up for the Hume Award this year, which is a Scholastic Athlete Award. He has a 3.8 GPA, 25 ACT. He has, I believe, 35 catches. We was doing this stuff today for the award. He has 35 catches, 14 touchdowns, 166 yards. He has, I think, if your safety got a lot of tackles, your program's not good. So he got about 52, 53 tackles. He has 4 interceptions, 1 pick six, has about 13 PBU pass breakups. He's a very violent kid. He has a huddle that's on, you Google his 9-3rd. He broke spurt last year. That's why I say he got a process. He shot up 6'3", been in the weight room, and he's took football very seriously. He had a great senior year. So that's what's going on with that guy.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, Mose, we'll let you get back to practice, but man, we really appreciate you coming on and talking to us a little bit about what you got going on right now, and also talking about the Vols a little bit. Before we let you go, my last question for you is, you've seen this team play. This is, like you said, year 2 of Coach Heupel. How far can you see this team going? I mean, obviously they're not going to play in the SEC championship, but they've still got a chance to get in that Final Four. Can you see this team, making it to that level? And how far do you think they can go with the squad they've got right now?
Well, let me tell you what I believe happened. I believe in the football gods. And They made us number one. We played Georgia for a reason. They were 5. Ohio State, Michigan, they got to play. We still play nobody. See, I'm leave that alone because I'm a SEC guy. So they'll knock each other out. You know what I mean? We've been playoffs. I think we'll get that national championship this year. I think the sky's the limit. I think what Coach Hyper got going on the offense is something special. Mainly the defense coordinators. Well, the receivers are lining up 1 year on. He got one on that hill. And once you get the D's up and running, every week, blessing more and more. And I think big boys up front, work. I see that championship in the horizon.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Mose. I think they look good. I mean, if anybody can win, I think it's them. So I think we just lost coach, but that was, that's what I'm thinking, James. I mean, this team has got all the offense that you could ever imagine. And it seems like the defense is, playing pretty good too. So I think we still got them.
That last part, it kicked me off.
yeah, we lost you, but no, we're with you. We're with you. We think they got the offense. Is obviously they put up 66 on Missouri. The offense is still rolling, but what we've been most impressed with is the defense. The defense has been able to hold Georgia to 3 in the second half, and they were able to get stops against Bama when they needed to, and that's the key is when you've got those two components working together. So. I think, the sky's the limit for this team, and I think they might be there at the end. Like you said, they were number one going against Georgia. I think that loss actually may have helped them because, you go all the way undefeated. You start thinking maybe, hey, we're the greatest, but you get a loss under your belt. And I think, Coach, you tell me, I think this might be the best thing that could have happened to them going into these last couple of weeks.
I believe that also. I live by the terminology, you can't make an omelet by breaking a few eggs.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you got to have that loss to get back focused, And actually, in us here this year, we got one loss, and we won a couple big games early, and the kids started thinking it was them. Got caught up with a lot of back slaps, and that's just how society is nowadays. Social media, they make you think you're the world, but we tell them all the time, the same people lift you up will be the same people tear you down. So you got to stay true to what you do, and I think that's what Tennessee doing now. I think that loss got us back refocused, and what they got going up on the hill is something special. So I think we're on the way to get us one.
No doubt.
Well, hey, go to Hendersonville, beat Beach this weekend, all right?
Yeah,
yes, sir. We'll get it done.
All right. Good luck, Coach. We'll be cheering for you. And hopefully after the Vols win the whole thing, we'll have you back on, and we'll all talk about it and celebrate a little bit, okay?
We'll definitely do that. I have a party hat on when we do it, too.
All right,
absolutely.
That sounds good. Thank
appreciate
you so
it, guys.
much.
Anytime.
Appreciate your time. Good luck at the rest of practice and the rest of the year, okay?
Thank you. You have a good rest of the day.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you. All right, guys, that was MOSE Phillips, the former running back at University of Tennessee, now the defensive coordinator at Cane Ridge High School here in Nashville, Tennessee, right down the road. As he mentioned, they got a big quarterfinal matchup coming up with Beach High School, which is a powerhouse here in Knoxville. They, as I mentioned, my alma mater, Knoxville Catholic High School, beat them in the state championship game in 2017. They had Jalen Hurd, the all-time leading rusher in Tennessee State history, played for them, and they've had some good squads. So I think this will be a good matchup. But it sounds to me like Coach knows what he's talking about. I mean, he's all about. He's been played at the highest level. He knows what it takes to be a winner, as he was on several big-time SEC teams for Tennessee and played for 2 championship coaches and Coach Fulmer and also obviously Johnny Majors. But it sounds like he knows what it takes to win. Don't you think, James?
Absolutely. I mean, it was funny. It was the more I was thinking about it, Johnny Majors won a natty with Pitt when they had Hugh Green and Tony Dorsett on that roster. And then Phil Fulmer does it at Tennessee. I mean, how often do you see a coach have two separate coaches that have won national championships that you get a chance to work with? And they're probably, as he said, they're very different. I mean, where, you look at from what he sounded like, Johnny Majors was kind of like a drill sergeant where, Coach Fulmer was more of a player's coach.
Yeah, I mean, I was really glad we had Mose on today because there was some stories that I never heard. I never really knew about the watch point
Yeah.
when I was at that game when he rumbled into the end zone against Florida, and Mose was a fullback, but if you think back at Tennessee, there was two guys, MOSE PHILLIPS and also Sean Bryson, who were basically turned into fullbacks because of the depth that those teams had at running back. Mose was talking about his boy Aaron Hayden, who played for the San Diego Chargers and played in the NFL, played at UT. But they also had James Littleman Stewart, who Mose also mentioned. That was a crowded backfield. But Mose wanted to get on the field. He pulled a fullback duty and still was able to get nearly 1,000 yards rushing, almost 700 yards receiving, tons of touchdowns and big plays. But he also open the holes up for those guys. That's the same thing with Aaron Hayden. Fast forward a couple of years when Coach Fulmer was able to make pay dirt and win the championship. We had Travis Stevens, we had Travis Henry, we had Jamal Lewis, all those guys in the another crowded backfield. And that's why Sean Bryson was moved to fullback and did an outstanding job. So, I think it was cool to hear his perspective on, that transition from Coach Majors to Coach Fulmer, and also, what he had to do. Said I never knew he was a quarterback. And it's kind of interesting hearing that he was, made the transition not only with the coaches, but made a transition in position. It was a pretty cool story.
Well, I mean, it's funny you look back upon it, especially when he played. Usually your best athlete on a team was the quarterback in high schools. So you'll see so many of those kids coming in as being quarterbacks in their own team, thinking they're going to play quarterback. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, now you can get away with it where you're having those 6-foot quarterbacks with more in the RPO sets. But back then it was drop back 3, 5, or 7 steps and grow roots and just throw the ball. And they wanted to have that height. Guys like Drew Bledsoe who are 6'5", those taller quarterbacks. So
yeah, there's no doubt. But he found a way to get on the field, and
absolutely,
that's another guy. Talking about that transition, that's another guy that played quarterback at a school that's still in the playoffs with Cambridge in that same region. Is Blackman, and that was Jawan Jennings, who was a quarterback at Blackman, came into Tennessee as a quarterback. Was a hell of a runner. I remember watching him in the spring game, and I'm just like, man, they got to move that guy to running back, because he just took off on the first time he dropped back to pass. He didn't even look for a receiver. He kind of moved his head like this just to make it look like he was looking, and then he took off about 60 yards down the field and got a score. And a couple of weeks later, they're like, yeah, he's moving to wide receiver. So that tends to happen with some of these guys, because as he mentioned, there's only one dude that plays QB, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the part I enjoyed the most was him talking about the microwave culture too, as well, in the transfer portal. Yeah. And I think we're going to see the transfer portal slow down a bit, because I think he's spot on. If they don't get it right away, I got to go somewhere else to get it. Well, you keep popping everywhere, you may be without a dance partner at the end.
Yeah. Well, and some of these programs are having to use it and rely on it, like Michigan State last year. They leaned heavily on the portal, and Mel Tucker was able to, turn that into some success, especially because he hit on a lot of those kids. He hit on Crouch, the linebacker from Tennessee. He hit on Kenneth Walker III, the running back from Wake Forest, who led them as far as he could take them all the way to the bowl game. But, this year it's a different story there in Sparty land, and they're struggling mightily. And I think that just goes to show that you still got to create your own culture. You still got to, develop your own talent. And look at the teams that are at the top, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. Now, they may fill a void like Alabama last year. Jamison Williams came in. He wasn't getting to play at Ohio State. He transferred to Alabama, got on the field. Henry To'oTo'o, the linebacker from Tennessee, they've got one or two guys that kind of are added to the mix, but they're not going and finding 6 or 7 starters from the portal. They're still doing the basic, recruit, develop, and then play, right?
Well, absolutely. And he nailed it on the head. It's really what JUCO used to be. Yeah. And it's, if you look at a program like Nebraska, who brought in 20 some odd transfers.
Yeah.
I mean, they stop becoming players and start becoming mercenaries because
Yeah.
they're going there to showcase themselves. I mean, it's like the glorified combine. And when things go sideways, what do you think the first thing they're going to do is look out for themselves?
Yeah, transfer somewhere else. I mean, that's the one issue is you get a kid that, already, and that's why I think there's got to be some sort of limitation on it. If the kid, you go somewhere, the coach leaves, or you were sold a bill of goods that may have not been turned out to be true, you should be allowed to go and find another school where, sometimes a change of venue is the best thing that can happen to some of these kids.
Absolutely.
But just allowing them to bounce around. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. His coach was fired. He moved on. Fuentes is gone. He moved on, came to Coach Heupel, and look what's happened. But, when these kids like, Tate Martell, the kid from Ohio State that went to Miami, and then he went to UNLV, and then he went somewhere else. And
he's retired.
I think he's retired. I think he's retired now, but, he went to 4 or 5 different schools because – they think that if it doesn't work here, I can just go here, and it's just not a good thing. So I still think, with Nebraska as a very good example of yours, that guy Scott Frost fired trying to build his team through the portal. And, I was watching Menace to Sports podcast with Zach Smith the other day, and he really broke down the running back from LSU, Williams, who is a walk-on at LSU. And I think, obviously looking at his talent, he may have been overlooked just because of all the, people in the portal and some of these kids from high school are getting overlooked. But
completely.
But Josh Williams, he didn't just take the easy route. He went and walked on at LSU, stayed through the coaching change, finally is getting his chance. And like we talked about, against Arkansas, 19 carries, 122 yards and a touchdown, was even more instrumental the week before. Against Bama, the kid is legit. So I still think there's something to be said for a little bit of hard work, right, James?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I look at a kid that's at Minnesota right now by the name of Jordan Howden, who was a walk-on out of Vegas. And I don't know how this kid was a walk-on because he started day one. Like, I would take that back. He started 3 games into the year in 2019 and has never left the field since. And he's probably going to go down as one of the best safeties in this university's history. Yet he was a walk-on and started as a freshman, a true freshman. And that just, I mean, there's so much talent out there, but there's so many coaches that are so worried about winning the recruiting wars. Well, something, you win recruiting when you win games.
Yeah, there's no doubt. That's why teams like I was talking about before, Bama, Ohio State, they don't just go out and look to try and bring in 6, 7, 10 kids from the portal like Nebraska was doing. They may go and try and get a kid or two, maybe where they've had injuries and bring in to fill a void. If there's somebody out there that's, been unhappy somewhere or, just looking to maybe get on the field a little bit more, but they're still doing what's trusted and true, which is go out, find the kids that want to be part of your program and bring them in and develop them. And that's why I look at the Quinn Ewers example. Watching him the other night, I just think back about Ryan Day. He went out and recruited C.J. Stroud. He recruited Quinn Ewers. Well, Quinn Ewers didn't want to wait. He wanted to get on the field right away. He didn't want to sit and learn. He didn't want to put in the work. He just wanted to get on the field right away. Well, look at what's happening down there. Ohio State's 9-0, making another run to potentially, or no, excuse me, they're 10-0.
10-0.
10-0. My bad. What the hell am I talking about? 10-0, and they're Texas is getting beat by TCU because their quarterback's struggling out there. So I think Coach Day made the right decision. He wanted to go with the kid that had made an investment into the program and sat and waited, redshirted a year for the Buckeyes, and it certainly seemed to work out so far for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's funny. There's a couple guys that just came to my head when we were talking to Mose. Chris Olave being one of them. I mean, he was not a high-profile recruit coming out of high school. I mean, heck, Ryan Day saw him because he was trying to recruit, looking at Jack Tuttle, and found him and brought him into the recruiting class. And let's be honest, the rest is history.
Yep.
You know, high first round draft choice. He's going to have a very long NFL career. And then you look at a guy we've been talking about time and time again all year in Mr. Judkins down in Oxford, Mississippi. Yep. I mean, that kid, you sit there and watch him. How was he not a 5-star?
Yeah, I don't know. As Mose mentioned in our interview a few minutes ago, you know, it's not all about the stars.
Yeah,
that's how he was talking about the big difference between recruiting today and recruiting back in the day is, you know, the coaches used to come and watch these kids play, and now they want to watch a film on the internet and look at their star rating on 247, and that's not the way to really get in and find the kids that are going to be the best parts of your program. You still got to go out, in my opinion, and meet with these kids and go into their home and talk to their families and see what they're all about. Because once you meet the kids and you become more familiar with them, you can find out whether or not they can be successful in your culture and in your program.
Absolutely. I mean, heck, if it was just trying to find the best athletes, Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson both would have been playing in the NFL. Yeah. But how many guys have you seen that were fast as all bejesus and couldn't catch a cold? Yeah. I mean, heck, Troy Williamson. I'm talking about you, the former South Carolina Gamecock who played for the Vikings.
Yeah, that did not work out so well. But anyway, we really appreciate MOSE Phillips, Coach Mose from Cambridge High School, former running back at the University of Tennessee, joining us tonight. We're going to have a big time show coming up this Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to have the inventor of the spread, Mr. Tony Franklin, the coach. Tony Franklin is going to be on the show. And then we're also going to be bringing in former national championship winning offensive lineman Demetrius Knox from Ohio State. He's going to come on and talk to us a little bit about the Buckeyes and Maryland, which is going down this Saturday. So two big guests on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Come on and join us. We got a YouTube channel. We got our Twitter man_coverage, Facebook. Check it out and definitely tune in on Sunday for a big show.
Tony Franklin's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And Demetrius is a great guy too, man. You guys are really going to like him. Obviously a great football player, played in the NFL, was a all Big Ten performer for the Buckeyes, national champion. And now he's also a coach at his alma mater and is also the dean of athletics. So another good guy to get some information from and to bounce some things off about this new recruiting and football world that we live in, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's great that he's giving back to the youth that he, everything he learned and gleaned onto through his time playing the game.
No doubt. So everybody tune in on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, right here on your same bat time, same bat channel. James, have a good rest of the night. We'll talk to you Sunday, okay?
Hey, eat your pork.
We'll do it, sir.
And free Floyd. Free Floyd.
All right, keep your chin up.
All right, man.